Hope is defined as a feeling of expectation and desire for a certain thing to happen. But what does that mean? Well, hope means something different to each and every one of us. In general, though, hope is what drives us through our bad days. It's the idea of holding on to happier moments when things get tough. Hope impacts us in almost every area of our lives. We hope to get a good grade on that one test. We hope to land a good job. We hope to finally feel comfortable in our skin. Hope is a fundamental aspect of everyone's lives, and it is something that is universal within the human condition. Because of this, it's only natural that hope would be explored as a theme and concept within the entertainment we consume on a daily basis. In this video, I want to take a deeper dive into a video game that, in my opinion, does an excellent job of conveying the concept of hope. More specifically, a lack of hope. That video game, if you couldn't already guess from the thumbnail, is Halo Reach. Halo Reach starts unlike past Halo games. There's no larger-than-life spaceship fleeing from even larger alien spaceships, no augmentations aboard a space station orbiting the Earth, no crash landing from space itself. Instead, you're shown a grim look into the future, as a cracked helmet that looks all too similar to yours rots in a deserted wasteland. Immediately, you disregard the idea that your character may be harmed in any way. You think, my character probably drops his helmet at some point, and this is just trying to scare me. Before you're able to think on it for too long though, you're humbly transported on a warthog on an unpaved road to the rest of your team. The color palette of the surrounding world is dull and unmotivating. This immediately conveys a gritty and dark tone, which is maintained throughout the game. Although there is plenty of color throughout the world of Halo Reach, the colors are muted in a way, and are usually not as exotic and as extraordinary as past Halo games. Right off the bat, you can tell this won't be like the Halo games you're used to playing. There's a certain confusion you get after playing Reach for the first time that only players who have played the prior Halo games get. You see, other than Halo 3 ODST, you're not used to feeling any sort of danger or fear for your character's life. There's a certain sense of invulnerability that you get after playing as the Master Chief. You kind of start to associate that invulnerability with every Halo game and every character you play as. Nonetheless, the game progresses, and you encounter your team, an incredibly diverse set of Spartans, and our first time seeing Spartans other than the Master Chief in-game. Noble Team is focused on the task at hand only, and the few moments of banter and small talk are immediately interrupted by orders to follow or situations to deal with. You can tell that this game has a very different mood and spirit compared to previous Halo games. There's a sense of urgency and graveness with every mission. As the first few missions progress, you gain the naive sense of invulnerability that comes with playing as the main character. You think everything will be fine, and you begin to apply that invulnerability to your team members as well, assuming that they'll be okay too, and that together you can destroy the Covenant. However, this invulnerability is shattered with one mission, the Long Night of Solace. This mission results in George, a member of Noble Team and possibly the closest person to Noble 6 on the team, sacrificing himself to destroy the Covenant carrier. Initially, the sacrifice seems noble and brave, but as you realize that the game is far from over, you ask yourself, if George destroyed the only Covenant carrier, what are we going to do for the rest of the game? That question is swiftly answered, as multiple Covenant ships arrive just seconds after George's untimely death, leaving his sacrifice largely unnecessary and almost useless in a way. Sacrifices are already hard to watch, but knowing that the sacrifice meant something, that it impacted the war or battle at hand, can be the means to justify said sacrifice. But George's sacrifice was unjust, and heart-wrenchingly upsetting to watch. I think Carter says it best.
He gave his life thinking he'd just save the planet. We should all be so lucky.
Landing back on Reach, I'm sure the majority of us thought that we had gone through the worst pain this game had to offer, that George's death was going to be the hardest part of this game to go through. However, Halo Reach had different plans. Hardly a mission later, another member of Noble Team dies, and then another, until all that's left is us. Surely, the invulnerability we had foolishly given to ourselves would last us until the end of the game, right? At least Noble 6 will survive, right? Halo Reach makes you feel as though you are personally living out the events of the game by allowing you to customize Noble 6. It is exciting to see your personal character interact with Noble Team in cutscenes, and equally as destroying to see your personal helmet cracked and chipped away by vicious aliens. This game's destructive nature is beautiful because you don't need to play previous Halo games to allow it to rip away at your heart. There's a certain invulnerability that we give to main characters in movies and games alike, and so even someone who has never even heard of Halo can still be affected emotionally by this game. No one expects the main character to pass away. It's a very bold move, and one that isn't commonly used. When it is used, it's usually done to make the movie or game more sad than it should be, or to create some sort of hype and get people talking about the movie or game. But it doesn't seem forced or unnatural in Halo Reach. The opening cutscene forebodes your fate, and truly, from the beginning, you know the end. The storyline isn't the only place where we experience a loss of hope. The soundtrack is motivating and exhilarating, while simultaneously ripping your heart out of your chest with its somber piano. Soundtracks like The Pillar of Autumn and Exodus provide an interesting dynamic between being energizing and heart-wrenching, and the rest of the game's soundtrack plays out similarly. The gritty and dark art style also helps set the mood of the game, with scratched and scuffed armor sets, dull and muted colors, and a more grounded art style overall. Even the promotional material symbolizes this lack of hope, with trailers like the E3 promo trailer ripping away your sense of invulnerability and leaving you open to the possibility that everything can go wrong. In the end, I love citing Reach as an example of a game where everything does go wrong, and that there truly is no hope. You watch your entire team perish before succumbing to the enemy yourself, and in the end you have no idea if what you did was worth it or not. Sure, we as the player might know that everything ended up okay, but did Noble Six? Or were his last moments filled with a pained, suffocating feeling from asking himself if the Pillar of Autumn truly made it to safety? There was no way for him to guarantee that his efforts, and George's, and the rest of his teams were in any way impactful to the war. For all he knew, the Pillar of Autumn could have been destroyed seconds after leaving Reach. But just as Reach is a good example for a piece of media that excellently represents a loss of hope, it is also an excellent representation of having nothing but hope. Noble Six and his team completed their mission against insurmountable odds, all because they held firm and most importantly held hope that their efforts would pay off. Although they did not personally get to reap the fruits of their labor, the entirety of humanity was given a second chance, and that chance was delivered by nothing but the indomitable spirit of Noble Team and the hope that they undoubtedly held in their hearts.